Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Another explosive celebration of cultural ecstasy has dawned upon us. One that every citizen, every visitor, and every nation has come to relish because of our unique carnival with its multiple diversity. I am Kemik DeGale, your 2018 reigning carnival queen. It has been a pleasure to share and embrace the warmth of your hearts. As we forge ahead to yet another immaculate experience, I invite you all to participate in the pinnacle of celebration on August 12th and 13th. Be amused by the traditional mass and kiddies carnival frolic. Come share in the harmonious sound of the steel pan, the sweet rhythms of the groovy, the frenzy of Soca Monarch, and the hard-biting lyrics of Calypso. Majestic Thursday on August 8th will be a night that celebrates beauty and encapsulates women power. Oh yes, our famous World Juve noted for our jab jab, our electrifying display of light and mass on Monday night, and the showcase of picturesque fancy mass. Let's dig deep within our roots and cultural awareness and run with building another spectacular carnival.
GCNA targeting areas that will lead to improved crop production. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, May 30th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association wants to ensure that new markets are secured and maintained in 2019 to improve production, which recorded declined numbers last year. Chairman of the GCNA board, Leo Cato, says nutmeg production was 700,000 pounds less last year when compared with 2017. Production levels were especially low in the final 2 months of 2018, carrying over into the first month of 2019. In 2017, the association recorded a surplus of $450,319 for the first half of the year. However, during that same period in 2018, a deficit of $20,203 was recorded. Cato, who was addressing the GCNA's annual general meeting on Thursday, said improving the nutmeg product is critical in securing and maintaining new markets. Looking ahead, the GCNA will be tackling priority areas that are affecting farmers, such as predial development of farm access roads, markets, and research.
The FDA came. The Food and Drug Administration of the United States came to Grenada, audited the GCNA, and gave the GCNA the clearance. This, to me, is something that we should be very happy about. After more than 10 years, we can now go back to selling produce in the U.S. market. As we look ahead, we can feel some sense of hope because it is the plan of the association to get a steam sterilizer and to get a nutmeg grinder. The steam sterilizer would do a number of things for us. It would purify our products before we export, which therefore means we can ask for more money for the produce.
Cato says accessibility to lands continue to be a major challenge for the association, which can affect crop production.
Accessing more farmlands, because it is very clear to us that there are several areas high in nutmeg production that are inaccessible. If you observe the report, you notice that in 2018, we produced 700,000 pounds less than we did in 2017. What could have accounted for this? We do not know. It is also said that there are approximately 500,000 pounds of nutmeg in the bushes of Grenada that are not picked up annually because of lack of access to these farms. And so the association intends to work on those. These are areas we intend to address.
Farmers' representative in the Upper House, Senator Dunstan Campbell, gave the assurance that he will continue to voice the concerns of the farmers in the Senate. On the subject of predial larceny, he said it not only affects the farmers, but the economic prosperity of the country.
Predial larceny, we all know what it is. But let me elaborate on this by saying that predial larceny does not only affect the economic component of a farm system, it affects the choices you make. Because farmers would say, listen, I'm not planting this thing here because I can't see it, so I'm going to plant something else. And when he or she engage in that decision-making process, at times it is not the most economic decision. So predial larceny affects the economy of agriculture in two ways. You lose your crop, and you lose the opportunity of engaging in the most effective crop choice.
The interim committee set up to oversee the affairs of PAN says two urgent items on its agenda are PAN Yard Lime and PAN Expression. The interim committee, chaired by Victor Ashby, former principal of the Grenada Boys Secondary School, spoke with the media this week about its plan for the upcoming season.
The preliminary discussions we have is of the view that PAN Yard Lime should be an organized activity, not just pre-panorama, but pre-pan expression going forward into pre-panorama. It must be organized, it must be delivered properly, it must be, you name it. It must be a marketable event, it must be incorporating village and community and parish, it must be of the type that there is some commercial feedback to the respective bands wherever they find themselves, and it must deliver music, and it must make patrons leave there and pan lovers leave the line satisfied and ready. The pan expression, we have agreed that it will be on Sunday the 7th of July.
Ashby says Plan Expression will be a functional partnership with the Spice Mass Committee on July 7th at the Roy St. John playing field. Deputy Chairman Dominic Jeremiah, principal of PBC, says discussions will be held on whether the Junior and Senior Panorama Championships will be held on the same night, as was done last year when heavy rains disrupted Kitty's Carnival. He says they are being told of the advantages of staging both competitions on one night. The committee's recording secretary, Ms. Stephanie John, principal of Alpha Junior School, says they will work as a unified team.
PAN and its growth and development has a significant position in the culture of our country. We take what we have called to do seriously. We understand that we can't do this on our own, so we want to co-op and collaborate with all of you, all of the communities out there, to let them know that PAN is well and PAN is alive, PAN is thriving, and everyone just needs to get on board. So we look forward to your full support in this initiative.
The other members of the interim committee are Lou Smith, Public Relations Officer, Larry Barry, and Andy Chichester, committee members. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The excitement builds for the Grenada Music Festival 2019. 3 nights of pulsating live music and great food. The festival kicks off on Friday, June 7th with Rhythm and Soul featuring Freddie Jackson, Carrie Hilson, Eddie Bullen, Jefferson Ramirez and the Solid Band, and more. Saturday is Reggae Fest with performances by Busy Signal, Maxi Priest, Kamani Marley, and a special surprise guest. The festival climaxes on Sunday, June 9th with Soca Fusion featuring the All-Stars with Blacks and Teddyson John, Patrice Roberts, Was Ways, and many more. General admission Friday and Saturday $80. Sunday you pay only $60. Limited early bird, season pass, and VIP tickets now available at GoToFet.com. It's the most talked about event of the year, GMF 2019. June 7th to 9th. Get your tickets today.
Welcome back. Grenada's first international para-athlete, Aishana Charles, has brought home gold following the recent para-athletic games held in Arizona, USA. Charles is the first Grenadian to ever win a medal in a para-athletic event, capturing gold in the women's F46 javelin with a personal best of 30.33 meters in the Desert Challenge Games held from May 22nd to the 26th. On her return to Grenada, she spoke with the media about her experience during training to achieving success.
Training is kind of difficult because you have certain things that I can do, you have certain equipment we don't have, so I guess going forward we'll have the necessary equipment so training can improve. I'm competing against persons with the same disability. It's not able-bodied, so the competition is great.
Proud of her performance, Aishana says despite being shy at first, she's already looking forward to representing Grenada at future games.
When I entered the competition, I was kind of scared since it's my first games. But after I threw my personal best, it was all glory from there. Seeing what other meets there are, I can get into and qualify for the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics.
Minister with responsibility for sports, Senator Norland Cox, congratulated the young athlete and the para-athletic committee during Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing.
I want to first start out by expressing official congratulations on behalf of the Ministry of Sports in particular to Ms. Aishana Charles, who we know is our first official para-athlete, Grenada's first para-athlete. She was recently registered and categorized. I had an opportunity to meet with the Paralympic Committee here in Grenada, and I also want to extend congratulations to them. They are very excited. They are quite motivated and wanting to add more athletes to their cast. Just recently, they're also looking at other opportunities for persons who are hearing impaired as well. So we want to congratulate them and congratulate Aishana.
That story just brought the curtains down on the national report for today, Thursday, May 30th. Let's recap the top story. GCNA targeting areas that will lead to improved crop production. On behalf of everyone here at the Government Information Service who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Coming, the new family of EC polymer notes.
What is different about these notes?
The feel, Polymer notes are made from a thin plastic film which makes the notes feel smoother than the paper notes.
The orientation.
The notes have a portrait orientation. You will read the notes from top to bottom instead of left to right as you do with the paper notes.
Unique tactile feature.
The front of each note has raised bumps at the top left-hand corner. These bumps form shapes that are familiar to you.
Holographic foil strip.
This feature is on the $20, $50, and $100. When you tilt the notes, the images and colors in this section will change.
New image on the $50.
The back of the $50 bears the image of former governor of the ECCB, the late Honorable Sir K. Dwight Venner.
New signature.
All the notes bear the signature of the current governor, Timothy N.J. Antwine.
EC Polymer Notes. Cleaner, safer, stronger.
Cash has its convenience and will continue to play a very important role in our economy, and that for the foreseeable future. That said, the ECCB is committed to reduce our region's use of cash and checks. And you may ask why. Well, here's why. In the ECCU, about 80% of all payments are effected using cash or checks. When we survey our payments landscape, we cannot help but conclude that payments are still too slow and too expensive. Many of us know only too well the high costs associated with certain banking services. Although a full-scale analysis of the social costs of physical cash in the ECCU has not yet been carried out, it is indisputable that the costs of cash services, including transporting, storing, insuring, securing, are extremely high. Invariably, these high costs are passed on to the consumer. Many people do not recognize that, but that is what happens. And it is also obvious to us that many businesses do not recognize the true and full costs of cash services. This reality, however, means, and given the fact that the informal sector is so important in our region, means that the informal sector bears a disproportionate burden in respect of the cost of cash. The reality is that actors in the informal sector bear a significant burden of the cost inefficiencies of cash transactions. Lest we become too critical of small businesses, we should also acknowledge that they too face real constraints. For example, some of our businesses are required to pay as much as 3.5% on every credit card sale. That exorbitant charge reduces and in some instances removes the incentives for small businesses to offer their customers electronic options such as credit cards and debit cards. And if they do, it limits their ability to offer customers discounts because of the costs that they're paying to provide the card services.
I really love it. 2018 was great. 2019, this will be epic. This is me, Scholar, 2018 Calypso Monarch of Grenada, and I'm inviting one and all to come down to Grenada for Spice Mass, the greatest, biggest festival in all of the world. I'm inviting you to the Mardi Gras, where I will be chasing after history. This year, the Mardi Gras, this will be the greatest Mardi Gras of all the Mardi Gras. All the bards will be coming.
I want to tell Mr. Killer, come over, the message to lava, come over.
Man, if you want to win the monarchy, do head reduction surgery. The talk going around the tongue, your head too big for the crown.
So listen to what I say, forget about ECCJ.
So what are you waiting for? Just book your ticket and come down. Last carnival was real bacchanal, and this year going to be the mother of all. The boom boom going to ring, artists going to sing. Pam pam.
Big up for Simon, for his contribution.
Saturday 8th and Sunday 9 June. It's Whitsuntide Games 2019. Kirani James Athletic Stadium. See participating teams from Trinidad and Tobago, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, Haiti, Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, French Guyana, Guadeloupe, France, and our very own local clubs and schools compete to be Whitsuntide Champion 2019. Game starts at 1 p.m. Admission $20. Saturday 8th and Sunday 9 June. Whitsuntide Games 2019. Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Who will be Whitsuntide Champions 2019?
Another explosive celebration of cultural ecstasy has dawned upon us. One that every citizen, every visitor, and every nation has come to relish because of our unique carnival with its multiple diversity. I am Kemik DeGale, your 2018 reigning carnival queen. It has been a pleasure to share and embrace the warmth of your hearts. As we forge ahead to yet another immaculate experience, I invite you all to participate in the pinnacle of celebration on August 12th and 13th. Be amused by the traditional mass and kiddies carnival frolic. Come share in the harmonious sound of the steel pan, the sweet rhythms of the groovy, the frenzy of soca monarch, and the hard-biting lyrics of calypso. Majestic Thursday on August 8th will be a night that celebrates beauty and encapsulates women power. Oh yes, our famous World Juve noted for our jab jab, our electrifying display of light and mass on Monday night, and the showcase of picturesque fancy mass. Let's dig deep within our roots and cultural awareness and run with building another spectacular carnival.
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. My name is Sheldon Scott.
And I'm Devon Romain.
pan in your pan.
Yeah, you know, it's a sin to stop that music. Could have played that for the whole day.
Yeah, but you know the time running on.
Oh, yeah. Sweet pan.
Yes, indeed, folks. Just remember, today it's happening up at the Mount Helicon. Yeah, it's going to be taking place at the Mount Helicon from 4 p.m. It's the NNP After Work Lime, eh? Yeah. So come on through. They're already preparing for you. You're going to get your green salad. You're going to get your chicken and chips, your fried breadfruit. Yeah, you're looking for some fried breadfruit today? Mount Helicon is the place to pass and look later on, yeah? You have the world famous Felix Lambie Waters. That is also there. Remember the world famous Felix Lambie Waters? It could assist the sick, but you can't raise the dead. So if you come,
some men say you could raise the dead. I don't know.
About that.
But and boy, that saltfish sauce.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They have a saltfish sauce there.
Boy.
Nice. Fried bakes, roast bakes, fried fish, barbecue, and as well as an ice cold bar. Yeah, when they say ice cold, North Pole styling. All right, so you can check on that from anywhere from 4 p.m. today at the Mount Helicon Secretariat. Yeah, the grounds up here. You could come on up. Yeah, I'll be around in and between. I'll be around, so you could always come and say, okay, watch, we buy X amount of drinks. We leave some drinks in the bar day for Sheldon. Yeah, you could come and do that. That is not a problem, right? Or you could come and say, we leave X amount of chits day for Sheldon, so you could go and get your Pigfoot sauce and Lambie water. So you could do that. There's no problem doing that. I'll be around, all right? So that's starting from 4 p.m. So wherever you are, get your crew together, make a little pass up, and you could interact. The PM going to be around, and other government ministers going to be around. You could interact and have a little chit-chat and talk and that kind of thing, and have some games sometime. You never know. You might see if you could beat the PM in dominoes, or you could see if you could beat Honorable Anthony Boson in drafts. Yeah, make a little pass by a little later on, all right? Nice, beautiful.
Also happening today, as a matter of fact, it started already. The Inland Revenue Department of the Ministry of Finance is in St. Andrews at the Grenville Car Park. Right, they were there from 8 this morning and they'll be there until 5 p.m. So go out there and find out about the different taxes, your land tax, property tax, all these things and them. Go find out what is the situation with it. Go make payments. Get any information you want from them, right? They are at the car park today from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Okay?
Hey, St. Andrew Northeast, good morning to you, the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis. I hope that you're having a fabulous day today, you and everybody else around you. So the SEED program, as you know, you have the Uniform Assistance Program. Yeah, here's some people cussing the Uniform Assistance Program, like if poor people supposed to keep the children home. Yeah? But this government believes in assisting. Yeah? When we get Senator Garwe, we had to talk to him about it. I know he's the one usually guide the process and so. But they have, you have to apply. So those of you that qualify and can apply, you need to walk with a valid national identification card. And you can go on Monday. They're going to be in Simon Paradise, Dunfermline, right? For the people of Simon Paradise and Dunfermline, you go to the constituency office in Dunfermline, all right? So you go to the constituency office in Dunfermline. That's for the people of Dunfermline, Paradise, and Simon from 8 a.m. So that's you want to fill out your voucher for the school uniform assistance. You're going to go to the constituency office for 8 a.m. on Monday. Please walk with your ID card. Then on Tuesday, they're going to be moving to Tivoli. For Tivoli and Belmont, they're going to be moving to the Tivoli RC School from 2 p.m. So they'll be at the Tivoli RC School from 2 p.m. Same procedure. You walk with your documentation, right? You walk with your original, your real, your truthful, your national identification card. That's for Tivoli and people in Belmont. And so Tivoli RC School, 2 p.m. on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, they move to the Bel Air Government School from 1 p.m. And that's for the people of Bel Air, Carriacou, Moya, and Conference. Next week, Wednesday, you should go to the Bel Air Government School from 1 p.m. And then next week, Friday, for the people at La Poterie, they'll be at the La Poterie Community Center from 8 a.m. All right, so that's just a reminder for the people of St. Andrew Northeast. For those of you in Simon Paradise, Dunfermline, Monday, you head to the constituency office for 8 a.m. For the people of Tivoli and Belmont, you head to the Tivoli RC School for 2 p.m. on Tuesday. On Wednesday of next week, for the people of Bel Air, Carrier, Moya, and Conference, you head to the Bel Air Government School for 1 p.m. And for the people of La Poterie, next week Friday, at the La Poterie Community Center for 8 a.m.
Yeah. Also, staying with the seed program, right? St. George's Southeast constituency. The seed officer, right, will be at the Laborie Community Center on Sunday, the 2nd of June. Okay? From 2 p.m. until to assist everyone with their vouchers for the uniform program and so. So you go out there with your ID, right, to identify yourself and be there, right, for 2 p.m. until, right, at the Laborie Community Center, Sunday, the 2nd of June, 2019, all right, St. George's Southeast.
Mm-hmm. And folks, yeah, other activities coming up. Remember, the NNP Youth, they have that bingo. It's coming up. And in conjunction with Wagate. All right? And that's going to be at the Victoria Park in Grenville coming up on Saturday the 22nd. So when you get a little salary this time here now, yeah.
Put aside a
little thing, yeah. Take a little 70 and put it aside. In fact, put aside a little 100.
Yeah, a 100. Get something
because
to drink.
Out of the 100, you could end up winning all kind of prizes you might get. You never know. You might end up walking out with a TV.
Yeah.
You might walk out with a computer.
Yep.
You might walk out with a Samsung S9 or S10 or something.
You understand?
You could walk out with something nice, and that might just be from $100. You're able to do that.
Exactly. Plus
So,
the cash.
Yes.
You end up there with a little $5,000. You never know.
That $5,000. Yeah, you walk in. Imagine you walk in with a 70 and walk out with a $5,000.
You carnival fixing.
Yeah, but no only carnival. You remember your graduation, all kind of thing.
understand?
End of June, you know.
Yeah, school taking care of for the kids.
Graduation, you're buying school books one time in June. Yeah, man. Priority, school books in June.
School books in June.
Yeah, man. You waiting until August to go and jam up in between everybody buying. Buy it in June.
Buy it in June, put it down there, put a little campfire in it, make sure the thing in running, you know?
No, it's not campfire in it now because my children will be reading it long before. They have to start reading it in June. That's what my father used to do me, you know. He used to buy my books in June.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to read it from
Gotta
then.
start from there. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, so Victoria Park in Grenville, that's going to be starting at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m., $70 for 2 tickets, 1 ticket for $40. If you can't make the 70, you try the 40. You try a 1 ticket, yeah?
And what's the date again?
And that's going to be on the 22nd, Saturday the 22nd of June. So $50,000 in cash and prizes. All right? So those of you in St. Andrew, those of you in St. David, wherever you are, because people just leave all over
St.
to come
Patrick's,
downtown.
yeah.
So people could leave everywhere and head up to St.
And one day Wagiti.
Yeah, man.
They know. They come in.
Set up the stage, my lord.
St. Andrews, Southwest, Women's Arm present Father's Day King Show. The date, June the 16th, 2019. Venue, the Deluxe Cinema Grenville. Time, 5 p.m. Price, $20 per ticket. Go out. Come out and support. Bring out the family. And support the 6 handsome young men vying for that title, the King. All right? King of St. Andrews Southwest. So come out, participate, enjoy yourself, have fun. Don't miss that. It's on the 16th of June, 2019 at the Deluxe Cinema Grenville.
Hey, and folks, don't forget tomorrow morning, there is the Marquee Breakfast Village. That's going to be taking place at the Marquee Basketball Court. So going up there, 100% local, and you're getting bakes and you're getting saltfish and smokering and watch a total local breakfast, traditional Grenadian breakfast. How we say traditional? Yeah, because saltfish smokering ain't local.
Nah, it's in local.
And chicken these days, most of it ain't local. So you say traditional.
Traditional.
100% traditional. Yeah? We want to reach to the stage where we want to say 100% local.
Local, but we get in there.
We get in there.
Yeah, you get
nice.
in there.
So cultural activities and other entertainment, but head to the Marquee Breakfast Village tomorrow. That's going to be starting early in the morning tomorrow, so head on out there and get your breakfast and so.
Yep.
And they had the little music and the little vibes going on and thing. Good morning to you, the Honorable Emlyn Pear, and also to Mr. Pierre.
Yep.
Yeah. We know we're going to see it pretty soon, and I see the police kings and queens
And King coming
announced
up, they
already.
lining up. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I see they announced them already. And watch, that show was nice last year. Take what, folks. Police
It was fun. I
King
enjoyed
and
it.
Queen show is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Don't miss it.
Believe me, don't miss that one.
Don't miss that one.
Last year, the Trade Center, the
Epic.
Ram.
Epic.
Yes. Everybody was down there. Both of we was there. The place, the
Epic,
Ram.
man. Yeah, go there and support the members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, the prison services, and so partaking.
Airport, I think it's taking place now, part as well now too.
The thing getting,
Yeah,
as you say in local term, grander.
Yeah, man. The thing looking real nice. So we're looking forward to seeing you all
Yes.
down there this year. Somebody trying to call us on the
yes.
overseas line. Let's see.
Up in a couple of weeks.
Hello.
Don't miss it.
Hello.
Don't miss that one.
Hello.
I said the Trade Center, the Ram.
Hello. Kill the volume in the background. Hello. Kill the volume in the background. Kill the volume in the background.
Members of the Royal Grenada Police
Hello.
Force, the prison services.
They're listening.
Yeah, you're listening, man, and your phone up, man.
Anyhow, we sticking with St. Andrews still. The Big Six of the St. Andrews Cricket Council 2019 competition will start on Sunday, the 16th June, at the following grounds, right? Pearls Playing Field, Ford Playing Field, and Mount Horn Playing Field from 11:30 a.m., right? This on the 16th of June. Come out and support the different teams. Prizes in this in the competition, right? Which will be the biggest payout in history. Damn. St. Andrews Cricket Royal reorganizing, man. Division 1, 2, and 3. Prizes are first prize, $5,000. Second prize, $3,000. Third prize, $1,000. Two teams will be advancing to the Big Six with the same payoff, with over $35,000 in payoff this year. Wow. St. Andrews Cricket revitalized. But it's a good thing we changed leadership in cricket.
Yes, indeed, folks. And we're going to take some of your calls quickly right now. Yeah, between now and 11. We have a guest that is due to be in here at 11. So we're going to take your calls right now. But remember, from 4 p.m. this afternoon at the Mount Telecon grounds, it is the NNP Lime. Yeah? So, yeah, all of you, come on up. Yeah, man, come and get your lambi waters and your pigfoot sauce and your fried breadfruit and all kind of thing, man. Come on up, yeah, and get your drinks and get your different thing and so on, and you get to interact with the Prime Minister and others. Yeah, man, they're going to be around. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you all up here later on.
One thing that's off limit, though, leave the mangoes.
Go ahead and talk about mango. Who didn't know? No. Go ahead and talk about mango.
It's visible as you enter.
Talk about the mango anyway. How about you? And folks, that's not all. The New National Party has the all-day carnival fete that's coming up on the 3rd of August. So looking forward to seeing you all there. And if you think the NNP Lime does be nice, check the all-day carnival fete and you will find out where is niceness. Yeah, one of the best all-day carnival fetes that it does have, New National Party. All right, nice, beautiful. As we said, we're going to take some of your phone calls, 440-7377.
And 347-329-3101.
Yeah, and discussions continue in relation to the National Health Insurance. Realize some people was thinking, again, at all of a sudden, they all show them out now. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, sir.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
AC Major.
Now, AC Major is for my friends and companions. For you is Mr. AC Major.
Okay, Mr. AC Major.
AC Major. Good morning to you, sir.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, we good.
Great, man.
All right. There are a few things I just want to get out of the way. First of all, I don't know how Romain get into that mango in Mount Helicon.
They're selling all the Paris. All right. They're selling all
And then since already talking about all the activities that is happening, coming up at the end of June, we have a annual fancy hat, tea, and cocktail.
Wow.
And that is happening on June 30th at 535 East 19th Street between Newkirk and Ditmas. The tickets cost about $35, and we encourage people to get their tickets early because we have a specific amount of tickets based on the size of the place. And we want you to come out. It's June 30th. It's the annual Tea, Fancy Hat, and Cocktails. Every year it's a big event. So I just wanted to run that two things. Tell Romain stay out of them people mango. He has no right to be there.
Paul is a country mango, you know.
Huh?
Paul is a country mango, you know.
Yeah, but you have to watch that one and wish it well because that kind of sweetness, I don't think you're able to handle that kind of sweetness.
Or you just keep selling out the Paris. All right.
You know,
But
so
my
I just wanted to let all you guys know that our Tea, Fancy Hat, and Cocktails coming up at the end of June. It's at 535 East 19th Street between Newkirk and Ditmas. And of course, it's all in raising funds for our party. And we invite people in the New York area to come out and support. All right, guys? Have a good day.
Beautiful.
All right,
man.
take
All right,
care,
brother.
man.
Hey, yeah, this week has been a very interesting week. On Sunday, we had the General Council of the new National Party started off on the right foot.
Successful General
We
Council,
had the Honorable Tobias Clement inviting everybody, welcoming everybody to his constituency. And quite a bit of information was given in relation to things like the national health insurance, the national insurance itself. Prime Minister spoke about the Imani program. That was one of the things that he spoke about as well. And the exit strategy for persons who are within the program right now, how you channel them. After the time that they spent in the program, how do you channel them onto other areas? And so we have a caller.
Good morning and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Sheldon. Good morning, Devon.
Good morning, my friend.
Hey, Devon, I want to congratulate West Indies for a wonderful victory over Pakistan. This morning, they bowled Pakistan for 105, and they won the match by 7 wickets. So I want to say congratulations to the West Indies team for being victorious in the first World Cup cricket.
Yeah, we won up.
Oh, we know Prime Minister smiling this morning with
Hello?
that. We know the Prime Minister smiling this morning with that one.
I don't hear.
We know that the Prime Minister will be smiling this morning.
You're smiling?
Yeah, he'll be smiling this morning with that one. All right, brother.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you're a wonderful day.
All right.
Yeah, West Indies.
West Indies, yeah.
And with our Pakistani coach, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, with our Pakistani coach.
Start off on a winning note. Yeah, that's it.
So AC is saying that Mr. AC, sorry, is saying that everybody is going to be wearing hat, male as well as female for the fancy hat.
Fancy hats
Yeah.
and cocktail. Wow.
So it's going to be a nice one. Yeah, I want to just make sure you guys send enough picture. And we want to say to all of you that are on the live right now, yeah, make sure you all like and share the live. All of you on the live right now, I want every one of you to like it and then share it. All of you on the live.
Yes, and good
just
morning.
Take 2 seconds, like it and share it. Nice.
And good morning to all of you, right? Wherever you are, joining us. Also, Sheldon our station ID. Yeah, we coming to you live from 89.5 CRFM.
Yeah, 97.5 City Sound FM, blasting out of River Road in St. George.
And I always forget 94.9 WeiVybz Radio in Brooklyn.
And 92.9 Sister Isle out there on the Sister Isles of Carriacou. Hey, Mr. Fraser, good morning to you, sir. Good morning to Lisa Marie. Good morning to Jack. Good morning to Linton. All of you out there at Sister Isle FM. We say a glorious Grenadian good morning to each and every one of you. Hope everything is going all well and okay. And there's a very high possibility, we'll have to add another one to that list on Monday.
Yes, on Monday.
As of Monday, we'll have to add another one to that list.
Also, too, Sheldon, the upper level promotion in collaboration with Peter Bain and Associates wanted to thank all the patrons in St. Andrews and the surrounding area for supporting the annual Mother's Day Queen Show, which was a success. Right? So they want to thank everyone for supporting, and they also want to let you know that the launch for the mass band is on the 28th of this month, 28th of June. Okay? More information will be out, pretty soon.
All right. And hey, good morning to you, Helen Marie. We hope that you're having a fabulous morning this morning.
This morning.
Yeah, folks,
Helen.
remember her presentation this year, Birds of a Feather. So you could go and check her out in the original NIS Mall. That's the original NIS building. Soon as you come through the little alleyway there, yeah, Helen Marie. You pass there, when you pass and you're driving past and all around the corner, yeah, you see the costume and them inside.
Yep.
So you could go and see, and plus her children's presentation. Yeah, I think I was hearing something about the children's mass and pan. I think it's being merged or something like that is taking place, yeah. But anything once it is to the benefit of the mass bands and the festival. And we will be having Minister Cox in soon with us, not today, but we will be having the Honorable Minister Cox in with us very soon to be speaking a bit about Carnival and some of the plans for Spice Mass. Yeah, probably if we could get him and the Spice Mass CEO
Spice Mass
at the
CEO
same time.
would be an wow.
Yeah, we could get
that
a
would
lot
be
of
good.
information there.
Well, hey,
yeah, so all of you, just remember, because I'm checking to see who like and share. Everybody like and share. Checking the shares to see who's sharing and who liking. I'm making sure and check just now. Nice, beautiful. So everybody like and share. Take 2 minutes and like. You don't even need 2 minutes. 2 seconds. Like, share, click, click. Yeah?
Mr. Watts, good morning to you, my friend. Good morning to you and your entire family, wherever you are.
Mr. Watts, I find you get quiet, man. Yeah, Mr. Watts.
He's on the move.
I find you get quiet, man. That meal real moving day, so I find you get quiet, yeah. So, and yeah, I think our guest has just arrived, so we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back in with you in a short.
Saturday 8th and Sunday 9 June. It's Whitsuntide Games 2019. Kirani James Athletic Stadium. See participating teams from Trinidad and Tobago, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, Haiti, Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, French Guiana, Guadeloupe, France, and our very own local clubs and schools compete to be Whitsuntide Champion 2019. Game starts at 1 p.m. Admission $20. Saturday 8th and Sunday 9 June. Whitsuntide Games 2019. Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Who will be Whitsuntide Champions 2019?
It's coming, the new family of EC Polymer Notes.
What is different about these notes?
The feel.
Polymer notes are made from a thin plastic film which makes the notes feel smoother than the paper notes.
The orientation.
The notes have a portrait orientation. You will read the notes from top to bottom instead of left to right as you do with the paper notes.
Unique tactile feature.
The front of each note has raised bumps at the top left-hand corner. These bumps form shapes that are familiar to you.
Holographic foil strip.
This feature is on the $20, $50, and $100. When you tilt the notes, the images and colors in this section will change.
New image on the $50.
The back of the $50 bears the image of former governor of the ECCB, the late Honorable Sir K. Dwight Venner.
New signature.
All the notes bear the signature of the current governor, Timothy N.J. Antoine.
EC Polymer Notes. Cleaner, safer, stronger.
Yes, indeed. And we do have in studio with us, and those of you that are on the live, you will be seeing the Honorable Senator, the Honorable Simon Steele, the Minister with responsibility for climate resilience, fisheries, forestries, disaster management,
information,
forestry, you see,
environment,
a lot of things.
It's a mouthful. It's a mouthful.
Minister, tell us, how has it been going thus far?
I mean, the ministry was created as we came back into office March of last year, and it's been intense, a very, very intense period. We're bringing together, it's a new ministry. We've pulled together all of the different components that you've outlined under the banner of climate resilience, but that includes environment, forestry, fisheries, disaster management and information. And this is the first Ministry of Climate Resilience within the Caribbean, and one of the first globally. And I think it signals the government of Grenada taking a strategic approach to climate change. We know all of the challenges that we face with climate change, the negative impacts, how that is impacting on our livelihoods, our communities, our economy, our health. It touches everything. And it is a phenomenon that we as small island developing states are at the, we're at the front line of that war against climate change. So for the government of Grenada to take this strategic approach in pulling these different components together and taking that holistic view to how we adapt to climate change, how we also take advantage of the opportunities that exist, as well as all of those threats. There are opportunities for us. There is a lot of international attention on climate change. There's a lot of global financial and technical resources out there to tackle climate change. And one of the key mandates of the ministry is to access as much of those resources as possible. And as we go through the interview, we could go through some of the achievements we've already made.
But it's been quite a few.
A lot. But it has been an intense time.
But how has it been for you? Because I know it's pretty tough. One moment you're in Grenada, next minute you're in Stockholm, next minute you're back in Grenada, next minute you're in Fiji, back in Grenada. And you have to be all over because these forums are taking place around the world. And if you're chasing the money to be able to help Grenada become climate resilient, you have to go where it is. So you've been out and out.
And the team, the whole team, because it's not just me. We have Ministers Garraway and Dabrio, who are integral parts of the team. So we are spending a lot of time outside, but that is where the resources are. That is where those international institutions that provide the necessary financing for these projects are. So part of it is promoting Grenada's unique story. Grenada is viewed as a leader globally in the area of climate change. Our Prime Minister released an opinion piece on CNN just last week about climate change, about the need for global action, highlighting our vulnerabilities as a small island developing state. And the amount of international attention that drew was significant. So we're having to engage with these international agencies, donor countries, to push our unique story and position our needs in a strategic way so that we are able to benefit from those resources. And we're probably one of the most successful Caribbean islands in accessing some of those climate finances resources that are out there.
Now, you mentioned the Ministry of Climate Resilience, and so this is the first ministry of this type in the Caribbean region. Grenada is the first country that has actually put in place a ministry specific to that. How is that perceived outside, in the outside world, in the other regions?
Very, very positively. I mean, it shows that we're serious about it, and it shows that we're applying some joined-up thinking. We're not just looking at it just from the perspective of disaster management, about disaster preparedness, preparing ourselves for hurricanes, etc. The issues of climate change go far deeper. Hurricanes are a very obvious impact, as are storm surges, as is flooding, as is drought that we're experiencing. But there are other impacts, what they call slow onset impacts, are coastal erosion. We are losing our coastline. A lot of our coastal communities are under real threat, as with other small island states. Whether it is ocean acidification, the bleaching of our corals, it's affecting our fisheries, it's affecting our agriculture, it affects our health, the increase in vector-borne diseases, the Zikas, the dengues, etc. These are all impacts that you do not see necessarily overnight, but have this this kind of corrosive effect on our livelihoods and way of life.
This brings me to a question I know just recently, and I'm glad Deepo raised it, and I was thinking of it as well. The Carriacou. You're mentioning some of the slow onset. And there was a talk recently of the fact that in a number of years we could lose the Carriacou as it is.
Yes.
And several other areas in Grenada could find themselves in problems or at least under sea level. What has your ministry been doing in relation to that? There's a project for the Carriacou or so?
Yeah.
Let us know a bit about that.
It's a transformational project, highly innovative, very ambitious, but we believe realistic. It is to make St. George's the first climate-smart, climate-resilient city in the Caribbean. And there are a number of interventions that we're looking at. And one, as you rightly said, is the Carriacou. And we're working with the Green Climate Fund. They're providing us with the resources to do all of the feasibility studies associated with this. The technical support is coming from New York University. They have a world-class development unit within the university that we're working with. And they engage NASA scientists to do some modeling, sea level modeling around the Carriacou and also around Grand Anse, looking at sea level trends. And from their forecasts, they're predicting that in the next 5 years, as early as 5 years, we will see an increase in the amount of flooding. So that is water that is coming from our watershed. The Carriacou is at sea level, so it's both water coming down, down through St. George's, through the Carriacou, but also through sea level rise, sea surges. So within the next 5 years, we're going to see an increase in incidence of that, and we're already seeing that. But then within the next 30 years, so by 2050, the Carriacou, Grand Anse, areas of it could well be underwater. So we're working with NYU, looking at engineering solutions as to how to protect the Carriacou, the lagoon coming around to the cruise ship terminal, that whole area, and what can be done both in terms of addressing some of the flooding threats as well as sea level rise. The same's being done for Grand Anse. Grand Anse is a critical part of not only our cultural but our economic assets. So how can we protect that? And again, solutions that are looking at using what they call eco-based solutions, soft engineering or natural solutions as to how we can protect that piece of coastline. Grenville is another area. The coastal path, that's outside of the St. George's area, but it was deemed...
It's below sea level.
It's below sea level, and we're already seeing the massive threats to communities in the Soubise area along that Grenville Road area. So looking at what can be done to address that too. So that's part of the Climate Smart City program, but it's looking at other things as well. It's looking at urban densification. It's looking at our urban development, how St. George's, the town of St. George's, is growing and migrating toward the east, migrating toward St. David's. And it's looking at issues such as congestion. We all know some of the challenges we're now facing in the south, just traveling from A to B, and the time it's taking for the volume of traffic. So looking at our road system, solutions as to how we can widen, create alternative routing to try and alleviate some of that traffic. And that from an environmental perspective, because there's a direct link to traffic, increase in traffic congestion, and the greenhouse gas emissions that are generated from that. So as part of our mitigation strategy and addressing some of the transportation impacts on our environment, that has been included in the plan, together with others. But if we are successful with this project, and we're still at the early stages, it will transform from a resilience perspective the town of St. George. We estimate that the value of some of the interventions that we're talking about will range somewhere in the region of $350 million US. It's significant. And there we will be looking to external donors, external partners for that, which is why we're working with the Green Climate Fund. The Green Climate Fund is the largest climate finance financing agency out there. We've already secured a project for water resilience that's valued at 125 million EC dollars. So we're able to already access at scale financing from some of these agencies. With the Climate Smart City project, we've already identified a specific project that's valued around 40 million US dollars that we're about to submit to the Green Climate Fund even before the entire study for the Climate Smart City project has been complete. Mm-hmm. So we're able to demonstrate how we're able to pick off pieces of this massive, very, very ambitious project, but into smaller chunks that are able to attract international grant funding, concessionary funding. So we're already showing early signs of success with this.
I'm still kind of shocked at the fact that you said within 5 years that we'll see increased flooding on the Carriacou. I know not recently, but within the last 2 years, during one of the rain systems, we had some serious flooding there.
Yeah.
It just happened at a point in time when there was a high tide. So there was flooding there, and to see that could get worse within as little as 5 years.
So the worst case scenario is, and it's exactly as you just described, when you have a high tide or you have a sea surge, heightened sea level, heavy rain, so you have water coming down from the hills, with water with nowhere to go because of the higher sea level. So it's events like that we're going to be seeing increased incidence of as early as over the next 5 years. And as I said, we've already started seeing it, let alone between now and 2050, which are the projections that NASA and NYU have been looking at.
So we actually have NASA that's doing work.
NASA's doing work for Little Grenada.
Right now.
Absolutely. So these are world-class partners, technical partners that we're working with. This other project that I said, $39, $40 million project, we're working with, again, NYU have a part to play in that. New UN Environment and again, the GCF CDB. And this is looking at energy efficiency solutions. So it's world-class institutions that we're working with. So this isn't guesswork on our part. It's using, as I said, world-class experts to develop the models, to develop the proposals with us.
Let me ask though, seeing that you're looking at the possibility of certain areas becoming flooded in a number of years, what is taking place with some of our other coastal towns, like for instance Grove, Victoria, and Lowtown St. Patrick, where we've just had that project actually because you right now the water would have been in the road had that project not been done. Are those areas also part of this project or part of a broader project that is being done?
Well, the funding was focused on cities, so which is why we had to limit it to St. George's. But the principles that we're working to, the partners that we're working with, to be able to scale this up on a national level is the natural evolution of this. So even though we're focused on the South, as I said, the principles, the lessons learned, and we'll be looking at additional funding, additional support to include other areas as well. And which is why Grenville was pulled into this, because of the dire need for an assessment and solutions as to how we're going to protect our coastal communities there. But it impacts not just the mainland, but also Petit Martinique, Carriacou as well.
Yeah, because Hillsborough again is sort of low at certain points, and different parts of.
Well, we saw the effects of Hurricane Lenny back in 1999, and the devastating impact that had here in Grenada on our west coast, but also in Carriacou. Carriacou, Tyrrell Bay was badly affected. Hillsborough badly affected by that storm surge, and because we are seeing increasing events, increasing activities, we can't just sit back and wait for the next event to strike us. We have to be proactive, which is why government has taken this very, very bold step in creating the ministry and giving it this very, very ambitious mandate to find solutions for these extraordinary threats.
And a question coming in from one of our viewers here is, what role is physical planning playing in this project, in the infancy of this project? Seeing that there has to be that connectivity between the Ministry of Climate Resilience and the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Physical Planning, and so on. What role are they playing at this stage?
Well, the approach is whole of government. The Ministry of Infrastructure Development is at the heart of this, Works is at the heart of this, looking at the infrastructural pieces. Ministry of Finance, again, very, very important role to play. But when we're looking at climate change and its impacts, projects such as this and other projects that we have in the pipeline will be interfacing directly with the Ministry of Health. I mentioned vector-borne diseases and the other impacts of climate change. We just had, I think, at the beginning of the year, Princess Alice was established the first climate resilient hospital within the OCS. So building in climate resilience into the hospital. So working closely with the Ministry of Health. Ministry of Tourism, we talk about Grand Anse Beach, we talk about the Carriacou, key tourism products. The airport and building resilience into the airport is also a critical element. So it's civil aviation involved in those discussions. Agriculture. How do we deal with extreme flooding, sharp, short bursts of rain in terms of drainage for our agricultural sector, or extreme drought conditions? How do our farmers, how does our agricultural community adapt to that? So the whole concept of climate smart agriculture. So there's housing, another area in terms of building resilience into our housing stock. There is no area, there is no ministry that I can think of
that isn't directly impacted.
Exactly, even religious affairs, whether it's
pray for us.
Pray for us. Every element is touched by this.
Yeah, because the churches get knocked down when the hurricanes pass too. Everything gets knocked down.
Nothing is left untouched. Absolutely.
With everyone. Now, as the start of the hurricane season, it officially starts tomorrow, and so we know that your ministry, NADMA, falls under your ministries as well. And we're looking at, I think, what is expected to be above normal season, I think they said, that they're looking at. And also that we have the wet season has started, but expected to be a drier, hotter, wet season.
Yes.
And so on. So all of these things are happening right now. How has your ministry been working along with the average Grenadian? I know you all had something on the Carriacou recently, which was to hear from the average Grenadian their thoughts on climate resilience. And so how did that go?
Well, there was the expo. It was a couple of Fridays ago.
Yeah.
And again, this is to bring awareness to the Climate Smart City project. Because the town of St. George is the focus of this, and especially the Carriacou. It's part of the public education process to share with the local community, local businesses, Grenadians who are interested, what we're doing, where we currently are, to solicit feedback. There was, I think, over 500 persons passed through that expo. There were a number of booths, tents, with different messages, both in terms of awareness and actively seeking feedback on where we are. And this is something that is going to continue over the course of the project. This isn't a group of engineers or technicians sitting in isolation, coming up with ideas that will impact communities, will impact people, and doing that work in isolation. So, this is a public activity, and this was one of the very public outreaches to try and solicit that feedback. There have been many sessions, workshop sessions. I think this was the 5th or 6th mission by NYU, and there have been many stakeholder meetings over the course of the last year So hundreds of different groups, non-governmental groups, persons have been engaged over that period. But this was more of a public awareness activity. And as said, it was highly, highly successful.
You mentioned funding a little earlier. What are some of the funding that Grenada has been able to access so far under these projects, especially from the Green Climate Fund and other agencies?
Okay, so as I explained earlier, the Green Climate Fund is the largest climate financing agency. Under its first replenishment, it was pledged something like $10 billion. They're now depleting that, and later this year they'll be going through another round of funding where they're hoping to replenish not just that to that $10 billion level, but far in excess of that based on global climate needs. Now, Grenada has been able to access more funds from the GCF than any other island within the region. The first of which was what we call the G-Cruise project, valued at 125 million EC dollars. That is also together with money from the German government that supplements that. And this is looking at building resilience into our water sector. So how can we collect and store more of the rainfall that falls up in the north of the country? So it's looking at our dams, reservoirs, storage facilities. But then how can we more effectively and more resiliently distribute that around the country? So we'll be looking at where we've had water mains above the road, highly vulnerable to hurricanes, landslips, all sorts of things. So how we can protect them, so how we bury those. Looking at solutions into how we can manage our water resources better. So this will be the largest investment in Nawassa in recent times. So this will 125 million EC dollars is the total value of that project.
Before you go further, how soon will that project start, or has it started already?
Well, agreements, accessing these funds take time. So patience is certainly something that we have to learn. But agreements have just been signed between GIZ, who have been partnering with Grenada, the German development firm, who are going to be one of the implementing partners of this project. They've just recently signed with the GCF. The GIZ team are due to arrive in Grenada over the next few weeks to sign the host agreement with ourselves. So we're certainly looking at the second half of this year for boots on the ground. So that's one project. The Climate Resilient City project we have, it's funding for, it's just 600,000 US dollars, but that is just to do these initial feasibility studies, which will then enable us to access deeper resources. So this energy efficiency project, which is one within the Climate Smart City project, that's valued at $39 million. We're about to submit it, and we stand, it's not guaranteed, but we stand a very good chance of being able to secure that. There are other projects under the Global Environment Facility. We've just been awarded our next tranche of resources from them. That's $4 million US dollars. There's another GCF project, Enhanced Direct Access project, together with Antigua and Dominica. That's valued at $20 million US dollars. A number of other projects, as I said, in the pipeline. That pipeline that we have for Grenada is somewhere in the region of $100 million US dollars as we stand now.
Well, so that's quite a significant amount of money that Grenada can get to make us more climate resilient right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, Devon, I don't know.
And that's all grants, right?
That's mainly grants. There's some concessional components because government needs to make contributions, whether that's in kind. But the vast majority of that is grant money, yes, free money.
Minister, just to shift a bit, pay more attention to the hurricane season begins tomorrow, 1st of June, right? What has been the advanced preparation or information that has been going out to the citizens of Grenada as to the awareness and so of that particular season because every year we, as a norm, we keep reminding people of the importance of this period and what needs to be done. What can you say, or what can you tell people out there as to,
Like three elements to our preparedness. So one is, as you mentioned, is public education, and there have already been a number of initiatives within the media, etc., to bring awareness, and that we're going to see accelerate over the course of the coming weeks. So, in terms of what we need to be doing, government has its responsibilities, but ultimately it's the responsibility of each of us as citizens, as homeowners within our communities, to know what it is we need to do to protect and prepare ourselves for a hurricane. So that general awareness. But then in addition to that, in terms of public shelters, our schools, community centres, making sure that they are all up to scratch, whatever repairs, whatever physical preparation needs to be made to make sure that they are available. So if persons in the event of a hurricane need to leave their homes, have safe shelter within their communities. So making sure as many of those are available as possible and equipped. And then the third area is then through NADMA, in terms of our ability as NADMA as an agency to be able to respond. And then that's then working with the regional body, SEDIMA. It's coordinated at a regional level in terms of the manpower that is available, access to emergency services, emergency response, equipment, the technical know-how at the NADMA Centre in order to respond.
Over the last, I think, couple of months or so, I've been hearing that Grenada has received some assistance from, I think, the U.S. government, and so when it comes for some infrastructural development and so, like warehouse and even the shelters. Can you tell us or elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so we've received grant support from the U.S. Southern Command, effectively through the U.S. government, for the construction of a new National Operations Center, which will be located in Montjalou. And that will be a state-of-the-art emergency response center. So coordinating all emergency response activities with warehousing facilities, as you said, to be able to store all of the equipment that is associated with an emergency response. All of the technical equipment, whether it's chainsaws, heavy-duty equipment, etc. There will also be a warehouse facility in Carriacou through this, so making sure that that Carriacou is as best equipped as possible. And what we saw with that was the actual increase. I believe the US have doubled the amount of financial support that will be invested in this center. But what we will end up with is a state-of-the-art operations center here in Grenada, where we're currently located is highly vulnerable, and we know after our experiences with Hurricanes Ivan and Emily, we're able to take the lessons learned from that in terms of the design and the construction of this new operations center.
Also, too, a bit concerned, and there have been concern out there in terms of the preparation, but more so the training of persons, right, within the whole disaster preparedness thing, because we know that it's a voluntary thing. For example, in the district or the constituency organization, the bodies, and so it's voluntary. All right, and so what I'm more concerned about is the training, the preparedness of these individuals that will head the constituencies, offices, and so for NAGMA. How have there been more training or preparedness for them in particular, so they can know?
Yes, there has. And that training is a constant thing. It's not something that you do just on the eve of a season. It's building that capacity and building that capacity over time. So it is training. It is awareness for those persons. It's also equipment, the equipment that they need, and again through SEDEMA. We've received additional equipment, communications equipment, other equipment that help in that process. But what we're doing in Grenada, it's not just left up to us to figure out, what are the best practices. We're working through this central agency so that we're able to work to best practices throughout the entire region. So that level of training, that level of capacity building that we're trying to achieve is based on best practices that are being used within the region.
Mm-hmm. Also, you spoke about the disaster management and so on right now. But I want to go to another area. And folks, we're going to open the phone lines in case you have a question for the minister. We're going to open the phone lines now, 440-7377, and the overseas number, Devon?
The 347-329-3101.
Also, those of you on the live, if you have a question, you can post your question there. The issue of garbage disposal. This falls under your ministry as well.
Yes, it does.
How are we as a small island state moving forward when it comes to the issue of garbage disposal? I was asking someone from Petit Martinique just recently, considering the small size of Petit Martinique and considering that, nearly everything on Petit Martinique is family owned, how do you all deal with garbage? Only to hear that it usually placed onto a boat and carried over to Carriacou to be disposed of in Dumfries.
Yes.
How are we moving forward with the issue of garbage disposal? We successfully, under your leadership, you've already gotten rid of styrofoam, thank goodness. How are we moving forward when it comes to the issue of garbage disposal? Are we looking at composting, and are we looking at recycling? How is Grenada moving forward on this issue?
Well, I think they call it the 3 R's. The first thing to do is to refuse. So it's like banning whether it's styrofoam, whether it's single-use plastic. So it's actually stopping these polluting agents from coming into the country. The second is reusing. So it's things like composting, etc. How can you take items that either you have multi-use utensils, etc., etc. And then the third is recycling, which is probably the most complex, the most capital-intensive part of it. So the banning of styrofoam and some single-use plastics is a very, very good step forward. Those are components that linger in our landfills, linger on our streets, block our drains in our seas, etc. So that's a good start. But what we have is a very traditional model of just taking all commingled household business waste, whether it is compostable material, non-compostable, toxic, whatever it may be, it's just taking all waste materials and depositing it either in Dumfries in Carriacou or Perseverance here in Grenada. So the starting point is to start separating our waste. There is a project that's funded through the Caribbean Development Bank, an integrated solid waste management strategy, which speaks to creating greater capacity at Perseverance, but that's only providing us with a short-term fix. But it does speak to separation, it does speak to composting, and I think that is the next phase that we need to get onto. And as small island states where we have limited land mass, burying our garbage, on our lands, it's very, very short. It's not sustainable. So we will be looking at other uses of that waste. So, for example, waste to energy. We've received multiple waste to energy proposals. So how can you process the waste? How can you environmentally sensitively combust that waste and convert that energy into electricity? So that is one solution. Other islands have looked at it. Grenada will be looking at it. As I said, there are a number of proposals that are on our desks right now. But looking at ways in which we can more sustainably manage our waste is a top priority now moving forward. So the first part is just increasing the capacity, reducing the amount of waste that goes into our dumps, and increasing the capacity there in the short to medium term. But then looking at longer term solutions, what other products can we refuse? How we can, as I said, instead of commingle, separate, and those waste items that have value to be able to extract that value so that what goes into those landfills is, what can't be treated in any other way.
I'm going to go further on it because I realize now, previously what many countries were doing was that they were sending their recyclable material to China. China has started now refusing.
Philippines also.
Yeah, they've started refusing to take any more. They say they're not the world's dumping ground. They're not taking much more of it. Is there a regional project, either in the conceptual stage or any stage, a regional project for, because I don't think that as Grenada, I don't think if you have a recycling plant here that we generate enough to economically run a recycling plant, be it paper or glass or metals or so. It has to be a regional approach. Is there a regional project on the horizon in relation to recycling materials?
And you've hit on a very, very important point. I was talking about the economics of recycling. Even though we produce enough waste for it to be a problem, we don't produce enough to make it economically viable to recycle. So that is then where that regional approach that you spoke about comes into play. There are a number of regional initiatives so that we can, again, try and get best practice within the region. But I think this conversation needs to be elevated, again, taking a far more strategic view on how we treat with waste, not on a island by island basis, but as a region as a whole. And whether there is an island that investment in a recycling plant where a sufficient volume can be collected to process to make that viable, that requires all of us to kind of talk together. It presents an opportunity for that country, but it also provides many economic and environmental and political challenges. There's sensitivities associated with that. But these are conversations that do need to be held at a regional level.
Indeed.
Minister, Granitang Lake in particular and other areas that need attention, there has been moved by government to source a machine that will help in terms of cleaning up around the Granitang and other areas, and so within around that affects our water table. What can you tell us about that?
So you have a reed build-up. Anybody who's visited Granitang or knows of Granitang over the years would see that it would appear as if the lake is shrinking because that reed bed is encroaching, is advancing. So there have been a number of attempts, different methods to remove and to try and manage that. But the extent of that reed growth has gotten to a point where there needs to be mechanical intervention. So again, through the German Development Agency, GIZ, a piece of equipment, an environmental work boat has been sourced, which has the necessary mechanical apparatus to be able to cut, remove, and then load onto a barge those reeds. But what we've been able to do, and this is in collaboration with the suppliers, the manufacturers of the equipment, and with GIZ, is to extend the scope of that project to not only include Granatang, but it can actually be deployed in our sea for the management of sargassum, which is a major environmental problem for us right now.
So the same boat can be used?
The same boat can be used. It can be used in fresh water.
You found a driver yet?
Well, actually, I could take this opportunity. Well, please do. We are actually looking. So what we're doing now, that piece of equipment just recently arrived in Grenada. It's valued at over 100,000 euros. It's a very sophisticated piece of equipment. But we are now looking at how we operationalize that. We need to find, and it will be managed through NOASA, but what we are looking for is a potential public-private partnership. So is there a private entity that could partner with government for the operation of this piece of equipment? Because what you need is somebody with the skills of a bobcat operator who knows how to drive a boat. So it's a combination of skills that are required, and adverts have already gone out soliciting interest from such persons. So I'll take this opportunity to plug. So if there's anybody out there who has that necessary skill set, please apply. But this piece of equipment,
not just individual, but also a company.
No, it's a company. No, this isn't just looking for an operator. It is as a business model. So with governments supplying the equipment, but that equipment needs to be maintained. It needs to be operated. The whole thing needs to be managed in a very professional manner. So again, this could be an opportunity for an external contractor to partner with us.
Also, too, Senator, there is a agricultural component to that project when it starts. I understand that the weed from, for example, the Granatang Lake will be used as compost to use in the fields agriculture and so how.
And together with the sargassum too. Both are organic matter, both highly fertile, especially the sargassum. And there have been initiatives in, I think, St. Lucia, where there is a production facility that's converting the sargassum weed into a liquid fertilizer that is far more potent than other commercial international liquid fertilizers that are on the market. And one of the discussions we're having with the OECS, and I was at a meeting of the ministers of the environment just last week, a couple of weeks ago, where there is talk about how to commercialize that. So to, again, take the experience and the lessons learned in St. Lucia to see how other islands can apply that technology to produce fertilizer. So we're turning what is a problem, what could be viewed as a waste material, into something that is that actually has high value.
From the meetings you've been having and your interactions with the experts, are we going to be seeing a slowing down of the sargassum? Is it going to continue at the same level, or are we going to see an increase in it? We realize the last few years, a particular time of year, now we're seeing loads of the sargassum coming up on our shores, something we didn't used to see before. Yeah. Are we going to continue seeing the same level, increased levels, or is it going to level off and ease off?
The forecasts are not encouraging. So what we're going to see is an increase, both increase in the volume and the length, the sargassum season. Mm-hmm. It's getting more, and it's a problem not just for us here in Grenada, but the region as a whole. Also, the Florida, the southern U.S., the Gulf, is also experiencing that problem. And what has been recognized is that we need to work not just within the region, but extra-regionally with the U.S. As to how best to manage it. But here in Grenada, we have had, and it was presented to Cabinet and approved, sargassum action plan, which is putting formal structures in place, using our environmental wardens, teams in every constituency, under central management, that are going to be doing and have already started, providing the manual clearing that can be done, which is the most environmentally sensitive way of addressing it. But then when you have a heavier influx. So the deployment, for example, of this environmental workboat. We're looking at other technologies that can be used. We have engaged a dedicated manager who's going to be looking at other technologies, whether it's booms that could be deployed offshore to prevent the sargassum from coming onshore, whether it's other marine equipment that can be used, and how we can access support through international agencies. We've approached the Japanese government. They're looking at a regional project to see how they could provide technical expertise to help us to understand what's going on. And then through the OECS Secretariat, how we can better coordinate our the activities, both as government, also as a private sector. The private sector has a responsibility. Those properties, hotel properties along the coastlines have a vested interest in working together with us here too.
Immediate action in relation to the sargassum. Residents of areas like Marquis, Soubise, they have been complaining that the noxious gases that is emitting has been damaging the electronic equipment and so on. While we have the bit of equipment now that could be dual use, could be used for the sargassum and so on, is there an immediate plan to address the sargassum problem that these residents have been having, particularly on the east coast of Grenada?
Well, what we have done is deployed dedicated teams there. So there are 2 teams running from Soubise, Marquis, and the Grenville area that are manually managing this, and they have been deployed over the past few weeks. And what we have seen is a little often, because they are working full-time there, what we are finding is the little often is having a major positive impact in terms of keeping that area clean. What you would find is the sargassum could wash up today. It appears to be a problem. The tide will come in and take it back out. The issue arises when it stays onshore, wet, and it then starts to decay. But it requires a constant effort. Last year, we spent somewhere in the region of $1.4 million in manpower clearing those beaches. But as I said, the approach that is taken this year is far more coordinated, far more managed. So we are hoping that the resources could be used more efficiently, so that we can manage. We will not solve this problem. It's just about managing the situation, and in those areas that are worst affected and pose a direct health or economic challenge for those local communities.
So instead of spending 1 point something million, we should be making something back from it when you start using it as fertilizer, and so cut down on the bill that you've been spending.
That would be the idea.
To clear it up.
Exactly.
Okay, so folks, just remember, any of you that want to apply, you can apply to the ministry to be the boatman, bobcat kind of operator for the...
Bobcat operator.
Is this project also going to include Lake Lavera? I know that Lake Lavera, I think there's an issue there as well with some of the reeds that are coming in there. Can that also be part of the project as well?
Well, I'm unaware of that specific issue, but from a technology point of view, absolutely. The reason why Granatang is the main focus is because Granatang is used as a reservoir for our water. So the reeds are causing a specific issue with regard to water management there.
What has your ministry been doing in relation to invasive species? And I say this in particular because I have a major concern when it comes to the Granatang Lake and the fishes that you see there. They are not native to Grenada. Some individuals saw it fit to place that species of fish into the Granatang Lake, and it will eventually affect the native species today. What is your ministry doing in relation? Not because it's too late to get rid of them there. You can't. It's nearly impossible to get rid of them there now. But what is your ministry doing in relation to that overall? I think I saw a press release today in relation to importing a plant material, plants and so on, that the process has changed along with the Escuda project and so. But what is being done in relation to that particular one?
I can't speak to that that specifically. I know that there have been a number of projects. I think there was a Taiwanese, I believe, fisheries project, and I think this is the overspill from that. But it hasn't been raised with the ministry formally, but it's certainly something that we can look into.
Definitely. I think we have a caller online.
Good morning and welcome. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, my friend.
And good morning to you, Mr. Romain, Mr. Scott, and good morning to your guest. I have 3 questions for your guest. And the first one is regarding illegal dumping. What is our success rate in terms of prosecuting illegal dumpers? That's 1. 2, since the sargassum weed started coming, we've been talking about using it to our advantage, especially in terms of fertilizer. Are we still at the talking stage? Where are we? And the last question is, sir, are there any factual evidence or information to support that the gases from the sargassum weed damages electronics items? Thank you. Have a pleasant weekend.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, well, taking those 3 points, there is, with regard to illegal dumping, we are currently looking into a very specific case. It was featured on GBN with a truck dumping at Pearls, the old Pearls Airport.
Wow.
And that video evidence has been collected. It is with the Attorney General's office. They will be consulting with the RGPF, and if the evidence, that video evidence, is viewed as admissible, we will be taking, and we can identify the truck owner. Action will be taken. We need to make examples of persons who are dumping illegally. It's a major issue. We spent many tens of thousands of dollars clearing up a lot of the waste that was illegally dumped at Pearls. And there are other sites around the country where you have fly tipping, you have persons illegally dumping, and it must stop. There are laws in place, and we will be enforcing those laws to ensure that this behavior ceases. So there is one specific case we're looking at, and then if evidence can be brought to us of others, we will follow through with that also.
But before you move on to the other questions, have the laws in relation to illegal dumping been updated? Because I'm not sure what are the penalties and so on. Are they updated, or are you looking to update the laws, considering some of what you're seeing now? Even the south of the island, there's certain areas that people are just going and they just tip over, and that's it. Some of our watershed areas and all, people are just dumping.
Yeah, well, the Litter Abatement Act was recently updated, and we are in the process. It's taken us longer than we would like, but we will be implementing that in full, and penalties, etc., are well laid out there. So we think it's okay for now. What we need to do is enforce. It's enforcement that is necessary. Something that we've asked Solid Waste to look at is with business users and the dumping of garbage. Businesses are exempt from the environmental levy, and it's the environmental levy that covers public waste collection. But businesses are exempt from that because it's expected that they will make their own private arrangements for the collection and disposal of garbage. But what we're finding is there are a number of businesses here in the town, up in Grenville, that are abusing that and are using public receptacles to dispose of their business waste. And that is causing considerable strain on solid waste collectionability. So what we have instructed is for solid waste to, and together with legal affairs, to review the regulations, the laws pertaining to disposal of business waste, whether we need to strengthen or whether it's simply a case of enforcement. But that is something that we will be tackling with the business community. And it'll start with educating them to make sure that they're aware of their responsibilities. But we will be looking to enforce there. Coming back to the caller's question. So it is talk right now in terms of the liquid fertilizer. Work is still taking place. We're still watching very closely what's taking place in St. Lucia. But how we commercialize it, there are financial considerations. Is this something that government should lead? Is this something that the private sector and entrepreneurs should lead? And what's happening in St. Lucia, it's an entrepreneur, a young fella, an impressive young man, who has led the way there with support from government. And it's seeing if there is a model there that can be replicated throughout the region. And then in terms of the gases, I am unaware of any scientific studies that have been done in terms of the gases that are producing, the impact that that's had on electronics, on other materials in the area. But certainly from the anecdotal evidence, the circumstantial evidence that's presented, there does appear to be a connection there.
Okay. Folks, we're just heading down to the final 2 minutes. If you had a call, you had to call quicker. You had to call real quick. We're heading down to the final few minutes. We've been looking at the different aspects of sargassum and waste disposal and so on. But something you just said sort of piqued my interest when you said that businesses are actually supposed to make their own arrangements to dispose garbage.
Yes.
When we look at the town of St. George, we don't see that. We generally see that what they do is most of the businesses, they bag everything and they just put it outside. And they leave it there for when the street cleaners pass in the night and they're cleaning and so on and the garbage truck is passing. But that's not supposed to be the case.
That's not supposed to be the case. And we are going to be addressing that and addressing that aggressively. Because the amount of volume of waste that solid waste has to handle has increased significantly. And we have seen that reflected in the amount of garbage that we're seeing on our streets. And when the trucks are full and they can't collect anymore, they have to go to Perseverance and they have to come back for additional trips. And that garbage is left out on the streets for dogs to upset. It's causing a problem.
Okay. And before we leave, I wanted some clarity on a matter which was mentioned earlier as well. Styrofoam and the ban on styrofoam. Because after the ban on styrofoam, we did see some containers coming in that said biodegradable. Do we have a complete ban on quote-unquote styrofoam? Because I know that's the brand name, but styrofoam. Do we have a complete ban on styrofoam? Or is it on the non-biodegradable ones?
So first of all, it's specified products. Mm-hmm. So it's those styrofoam. So it's looking at whether it's cups, mm-hmm. Plates, bowls, those sorts of items. So the specific styrofoam products are outlined in the legislation. Mm-hmm. Then the issue of biodegradable, non-biodegradable. If it's a non-biodegradable, there have been products that some importers have tried to bring in mm-hmm. that are saying it's biodegradable styrofoam, and no such thing exists.
Okay.
No such thing exists. So there has been packaging. I don't know if it's...
That's why I never saw any of it again.
But Customs has been very active in ensuring that only the correct. In the early days, there were some issues, but as we go through this process, we're working closely with the Bureau of Standards, and we need to refine further and further the different categories of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, because there are some ambiguities.
Because, for instance, the garbage bags, generally garbage bags are biodegradable. Even if you have them at home, with something, you realize they become flaky after a while. They start to degrade.
But that's
So
still may not be. So that may break down. But that breaks down into very fine filaments that still remain in the environment. So it's not just the fact that they break down. The issue is then the difference between biodegradable and compostable. Compostable is the category where it actually breaks down into an organic component that can then be absorbed.
Even though it says biodegradable, still doesn't mean it's good. It still ends up in our water supply, in our fishes, in our animals.
It can do.
Okay. Minister, it's 2 minutes after the 12 o'clock. We've got to go. Any closing words? And we'd like to thank you because you've given a lot of information here. Believe me, a lot of information we've gotten in that short space of time. Any final words?
Well, just coming back to the start of the conversation, the creation of this new ministry to tackle the massive challenge of climate change, not discounting those negatives, there are opportunities for us. And what we've tried to do as a government is linking climate financing, climate change to our developmental agenda, so that it can enable us to do things that we won't ordinarily do, because it speaks to our roads, our sea defences, public infrastructure, improvements in our healthcare, in our education systems, etc. And the more links we can establish in all of those other ministries, in all of those other elements of our national development agenda, we will be able to attract financing, funding, and technical support to do many of the things we couldn't ordinarily do. So this also presents for us a massive opportunity. And as said, Grenada so far has been extremely successful in attracting some of those international resources, and we intend to continue to do so.
Indeed. We'd like to say that we'd like to thank Senator the Honorable Simon Steele. He's from we had to categorize it the mega ministry. Yeah, it's the mega ministry of climate resilience, because we're counting on you to save the Carriacou, Grand Anse Beach, Guave,
Granny Town,
St. Mark's. We're counting on you to save that.
Well, it requires all of us.
Subies and Marquis.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank you so very much for being in studio with us. The door is always open. And folks, remember, they're looking for a boat operator / bobcat operator to operate the equipment, brand new equipment that's here in Grenada, for use on the Granatang, for clearing of the Granatang, and also for the sargassum seaweed that we've been having the problems with. So you can contact the Honorable Minister in relation to that. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. And whatever you say and do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you.
Not about you.
And once again, we'd like to thank you, Minister.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We are out of here.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated. Saturday 8th and Sunday 9 June. It's Whitsuntide Games 2019. Grenada James Athletic Stadium. See participating teams from Trinidad and Tobago, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, Haiti, Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, French Guyana, Guadeloupe, France, and our very own local clubs and schools compete to be Whitsuntide Champion 2019. Game starts at 1 p.m. Admission $20. Saturday 8th and Sunday 9 June. Whitsuntide Games 2019. Grenada James Athletic Stadium. Who will be Whitsuntide Champions 2019?
Another explosive celebration of cultural ecstasy has dawned upon us. One that every citizen, every visitor, and every nation has come to relish because of our unique carnival with its multiple diversity. I am Kemik DeGale, your 2018 reigning carnival queen. It has been a pleasure to share and embrace the warmth of your hearts. As we forge ahead to yet another immaculate experience, I invite you all to participate in the pinnacle of celebration on August 12th and 13th. Be amused by the traditional mass and kiddies carnival frolic. Come share in the harmonious sound of the steel pan, the sweet rhythms of the groovy, the frenzy of soca monarch, and the hard-biting lyrics of calypso. Majestic Thursday on August 8th will be a night that celebrates beauty and encapsulates women power. Oh yes, our famous World Juve noted for our jab jab, our electrifying display of light and mass on Monday night, and the showcase of picturesque fancy mass. Let's dig deep within our roots and cultural awareness and run with building another spectacular carnival.
I really love it. 2018 was great. 2019, this will be epic. This is me, Scholar, 2018 Calypso Monarch of Grenada, and I'm inviting one and all to come down to Grenada for Spice Mass, the greatest, biggest festival in all of the world. I'm inviting you to the Mardi Gras, where I will be chasing after history. This year, the Mardi Gras, this will be the greatest Mardi Gras of all the Mardi Gras. All the bards will be coming.
I want to tell Mr. Killer, come over, the message to lava, come over.
Man, if you want to win the monarchy, do head reduction surgery. They talk going around the tongue. Your head too big for the crown.
So listen to what I say. Forget Maurice CJ. So what are you waiting for? Just book your ticket and come down. Last carnival was real bacchanal, and this year going to be the mother of all. The boom boom going to ring, artists going to sing, pam pam. Big up.
GCNA targeting areas that will lead to improved crop production. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, May 30th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association wants to ensure that new markets are secured and maintained in 2019 to improve production, which recorded declined numbers last year. Chairman of the GCNA board, Leo Cato, says nutmeg production was 700,000 pounds less last year when compared with 2017. Production levels were especially low in the final 2 months of 2018, carrying over into the first month of 2019. In 2017, the association recorded a surplus of $450,319 for the first half of the year. However, during that same period in 2018, a deficit of $20,203 was recorded. Cato, who was addressing the GCNA's annual general meeting on Thursday, said improving the nutmeg product is critical in securing and maintaining new markets. Looking ahead, the GCNA will be tackling priority areas that are affecting farmers, such as larceny, development of farm access roads, markets, and research.
The FDA came. The Food and Drug Administration of the United States came to Grenada, audited the GCNA, and gave the GCNA the clearance. This, to me, is something that we should be very happy about. After more than 10 years, we can now go back to selling produce in the U.S. market. As we look ahead, we can feel some sense of hope because it is the plan of the association to get a steam sterilizer and to get a nutmeg grinder. The steam sterilizer would do a number of things for us. It would purify our products before we export, which therefore means we can ask for more money for the produce.
Cato says accessibility to lands continue to be a major challenge for the association, which can affect crop production.
Accessing more farmlands Because it is very clear to us that there are several areas high in nutmeg production that are inaccessible. If you observe the report, you notice that in 2018, we produced 700,000 pounds less than we did in 2017. What could have accounted for this? We do not know. It is also said that there are approximately 500,000 pounds of nutmeg in the bushes of Grenada that are not picked up annually because of lack of access to these farms. And so the association intends to work on those. These are areas we intend to address.
Farmers' representative in the Upper House, Senator Dunstan Campbell, gave the assurance that he will continue to voice the concerns of the farmers in the Senate. On the subject of predial larceny, he said it not only affects the farmers, but the economic prosperity of the country.
Predial larceny, we all know what it is. But let me elaborate on this by saying that predial larceny does not only affect the economic component of a farm system, it affects the choices you make. Because farmers would say, listen, I'm not planting this thing here because I can't see it, so I'm going to plant something else. And when he or she engage in that decision-making process, at times it is not the most economic decision. So predial larceny affects the economy of agriculture in two ways. You lose your crop, and you lose the opportunity of engaging in the most effective crop choice.
The interim committee set up to oversee the affairs of PAN says two urgent items on its agenda are PAN Yard Lime and PAN Expression. The interim committee, chaired by Victor Ashby, former principal of the Grenada Boys Secondary School, spoke with the media this week about its plan for the upcoming season.
The preliminary discussions we have is of the view that PAN Yard Lime should be an organized activity, not just pre-panorama, but pre-pan expression going forward into pre-panorama. It must be organized, it must be delivered properly, it must be, you name it. It must be a marketable event, it must be incorporating village and community and parish, it must be of the type that there is some commercial feedback to the respective bands wherever they find themselves, and it must deliver music, and it must make patrons leave there and pan lovers leave the line satisfied and ready. The pan expression, we have agreed that it will be on Sunday the 7th of July.
Ashby says Plan Expression will be a functional partnership with the Spice Mass Committee on July 7th at the Roy St. John playing field. Deputy Chairman Dominic Jeremiah, principal of PBC, says discussions will be held on whether the Junior and Senior Panorama Championships will be held on the same night, as was done last year when heavy rains disrupted Kitty's Carnival. He says they are being told of the advantages of staging both competitions on one night. The committee's recording secretary, Ms. Stephanie John, principal of Alpha Junior School, says they will work as a unified team.
PAN and its growth and development has a significant position in the culture of our country. We take what we have called to do seriously. We understand that we can't do this on our own, so we want to co-op and collaborate with all of you, all of the communities out there, to let them know that PAN is well and PAN is alive, PAN is thriving, and everyone just needs to get on board. So we look forward to your full support in this initiative.
The other members of the interim committee are Lou Smith, Public Relations Officer, Larry Barry, and Andy Chichester, committee members. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The excitement builds for the Grenada Music Festival 2019. 3 nights of pulsating live music and great food. The festival kicks off on Friday, June 7th with Rhythm and Soul, featuring Freddie Jackson, Carrie Hilson, Eddie Bullen, Jefferson Ramirez and the Solid Band, and more. Saturday is Reggae Fest with performances by Busy Signal, Maxi Priest, Kamani Marley, and a special surprise guest. The festival climaxes on Sunday, June 9th with Soca Fusion featuring the All-Stars with Blacks and Teddyson John, Patrice Roberts, Was Ways, and many more. General admission Friday and Saturday $80. Sunday you pay only $60. Limited early bird, season pass, and VIP tickets now available at GoToFet.com. It's the most talked about event of the year, GMF 2019. June 7th to 9th. Get your tickets today.
Welcome back. Grenada's first international para-athlete, Aishana Charles, has brought home gold following the recent para-athletic games held in Arizona, USA. Charles is the first Grenadian to ever win a medal in a para-athletic event, capturing gold in the women's F46 javelin with a personal best of 30.33 meters in the Desert Challenge Games held from May 22nd to the 26th. On her return to Grenada, she spoke with the media about her experience during training to achieving success.
Training is kind of difficult because you have certain things that I can do, you have certain equipment so you don't have, so I guess going forward we'll have the necessary equipment so training can improve. I'm competing against persons with the same disability. It's not able-bodied, so the competition is great.
Proud of her performance, Aishana says despite being shy at first, she's already looking forward to representing Grenada at future games.
When I entered the competition, I was kind of scared since it's my first games. But after I threw my personal best, it was all glory from there. Seeing what other meets there are, I can get into and qualify for the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics.
Minister with responsibility for sports, Senator Norland Cox, congratulated the young athlete and the para-athletic committee during Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing.
I want to first start out by expressing official congratulations on behalf of the Ministry of Sports in particular to Ms. Aishona Charles, who we know is our first official para-athlete, Grenada's first para-athlete. She was recently registered and categorized. I had an opportunity to meet with the Paralympic Committee here in Grenada, and I also want to extend congratulations to them. They are very excited. They are quite motivated and wanted to add more athletes to their cast. Just recently, they're also looking at other opportunities for persons who are hearing impaired as well. So we want to congratulate them and congratulate Aishona.
That story just brought the curtains down on the national report for today, Thursday, May 30th. Let's recap the top story. GCNA targeting areas that will lead to improved crop production. On behalf of everyone here at the Government Information Service who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.